Hey, I'm Sarah Gonzalez. Welcome to the news and why it matters. Glenn, what was the top story for you today?
Top story is how out of control we are and what is just on the horizon that we are not paying attention to.
Still.
The Kavanaugh thing is very important, but what were we missing while we were paying attention to Kavanaugh?
Okay, Pat.
Yeah, lapsing into chaos and maybe violence. I mean, violence is the next step from here.
There is no half measure from here.
Right.
Before we get into all of that, want to thank our sponsor, Riduzone. Riduzone has been a lifesaver for me. As you know, I used to be really fat, and now I'm not. Yay!
You've just taken all the nuance out of the story.
I did. I was fat, and now I'm not, and I want to stay not fat.
She lost the weight, and I found it.
Yeah.
I found it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So the way that I stay not fat is I take Riduzone before my meal, and it is the good molecule in olive oil that helps keep you full and helps boost your metabolism. So that it's been super helpful for me, like I said, because, a lot of times you lose weight, you gain it right back. Because you're not changing your eating habits, you're not changing your lifestyle.
I've never gone through anything like that. Once I lose the weight, I've been in perfect shape like this for a long time.
If Yo-Yo Ma hadn't already had the name, I would be Yo-Yo.
And a lot of people I heard were going to the website and they were looking at it and they were saying, this is expensive. Look, it's a 3-month supply, and if you do the math, it's $1.39 a day. It's $1.39 a day that you're investing into your health. That's not expensive at all. You can go to riduzone.com, use promo code TheBlaze, and save 30% off a 3-pack of bottles, which will get you a 3-month supply. All right, I know
it is expensive if you're like in Africa and you're eating on a dime a day.
Are they watching this in Africa?
Yeah, and you're probably not trying to lose weight
on their
in Africa.
I need my Riduzone.
Okay, I want to make sure to get to yours, but I'd like to get to Pat's top story first.
I think they all kind of play into each other.
Yeah, I think so too. So Pat.
Yeah, the hysteria over the Kavanaugh nomination and confirmation has it's been frightening to me. I mean, we've seen protests before. But this extended and this vitriolic and this out of control.
It's not only that. It's what did they say? They needed to up it.
What did they get more ruthless?
Yes.
Ruthless.
More ruthless.
More ruthless.
Yes.
We talked about this on the radio show this morning and talked to you about it. Pat, what's more ruthless than what they've done? Only
killing
violence.
people, I guess.
Right.
That's the only thing worse, I think. I mean, they're clawing at the door of the Supreme. Do we have the footage of that? It's.
We have the montage, yes.
Yeah, let's
we have that.
Take a look at this.
It's time of this patriarchal controlling bullshit.
This
Literally on at the door.
These are giant. Does she really think she's going to open it?
This is frightening to me.
Very.
You ever seen your toddler do this?
Mm-hmm.
I have.
They're
crying.
They're weeping. There's gnashing of teeth. They're clawing at the door.
Breitbart! Breitbart! Breitbart!
And so
Intolerant. You are the most intolerant group I've ever seen. Reject the lies. Reject the. You are subhuman.
Subhuman.
wow.
This is my favorite part. The black woman is too overcome.
I think they matter anymore.
She's happy they cleared it up, that they do matter.
Okay.
As Republicans.
This honestly is our country going insane.
Going absolutely.
It is insane.
nuts.
This is. I'm telling you. I've said this on the radio today. Anybody who has listened to me for a long period of time, you know that I have said there's going to come a time when you're going to have to be the one who is believable, the one who is calm, the one who is gracious and says, don't go there. Mm-hmm. Come this way. I've said that for almost 20 years. This is the time.
No question we're at that point.
This is it.
There's just no doubt. What would have happened had they gotten inside the doors where Kavanaugh was being sworn in?
What would they do?
What would they have done? I mean, I'm worried about that. That's really disturbing. What are you going to do once you get inside?
What do you look at what they already have done to people who are having dinner? Ted Cruz having dinner with his wife. They went and they surrounded him. If you want to get more ruthless, it has to come to blows. It has to come to violence. And the press is okay with it. The press is,
I think they're
encouraging it.
It seems to me that they have the idea that at some point in a really important moment, they could take this ultimate trump card out and destroy whoever they needed to in that moment, which was this sexual assault allegation, and take Ford out of it for a second. The way the Democrats have used it, it doesn't matter if she's telling the truth or not. They don't know. They have no idea. They have no better idea than we do or not.
She's telling the truth.
Right. They don't forget whether we spent too much time focusing on whether she's told the truth in this situation because they don't care about it.
This is about abortion. This is about Donald Trump. This is about all of it.
And it's about stopping those things. And this was their ultimate moment. And they used the maximum thing they can do short of violence. They accused them of gang rape. And it still didn't work. And that frustration is real. I mean, this was their ultimate trump card, and they got nothing out of it.
Let me ask you, why did the press try to make the Tea Party look like this? Why?
They wanted everyone to believe they were violent.
Why?
This is a tough quiz, but I would say they're trying to make it look like they're
if they're violent.
It delegitimizes the movement.
Delegitimizes them because America doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
We never provided this, so they have to do it. America will not like this. They won't like this. This is Altima, 1968. This is all of that craziness that happened that destroyed it in 68. If we keep our heads about us.
And I want to add to that point, Pat, because you've got all of those protests going on Capitol Hill, and then we've got what's going on in Portland with Antifa. And they're literally standing in the streets, redirecting traffic. I think we have a short clip. Let's watch that.
Just go that way. Because I told you to.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Don't hurt
Yeah,
me.
brother.
Just go.
Yeah, you little white little.
Really? Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
He's also white. You can tell by his Casper
First
legs.
Amendment. Get the down the road.
Please just keep going the direction.
Just please turn right,
Please
for
go
Christ's
the
sake.
direction I asked
For
you to
Jesus
go.
Christ's sake, just turn right.
Please, you're
Will ya?
blocking traffic and they're getting pissed
Oh, we're
at you.
blocking traffic.
You can turn. You can just turn. Just go.
My first question is, where are the police?
The police are in on it.
Yeah, it shows.
Because
They're right
there's
down halfway down the block.
They're standing
and
down the
just
block. and
watching
they're
it.
just standing there watching.
mayor
But where
is-
are the real police?
And why are
The
you
mayor is
allowing
for
them
that.
to redirect traffic, and for what purpose?
Because the mayor is for it.
Yeah.
The mayor is
Yep.
part of this. You have to remember the last time that they were in the news up in Portland was because they took the FBI headquarters over.
Right.
They trapped the FBI in their own building. The FBI calls for the police. The police don't come. The mayor said, if you're calling for help, you're calling the wrong city. The FBI had to call for federal backup. That's how screwed up Portland is.
Also, the person, I don't know if it was this person in the car or another one, but they refused to turn right. They kept going, and a group came up and started beating on their car. And so they're willing to be violent. They're willing to do whatever they want, and the police did nothing about it.
So where does this end?
It's a really good question. With a bullet in the head. Isn't that the answer that we...
It's always the answer.
It's always the answer on the Glenn Beck
In
program.
1968, it ended with Martin Luther King. It ended with Bobby Kennedy. It ended with Malcolm X. I think that's where
It wasn't pretty.
It wasn't pretty. I think that's where we're headed. But you have to remember, only one side was ginned up. Only one side was ginned up. So when that happened, my parents, my grandparents were shocked. And they all withdrew and said, oh my gosh. And they became their better selves. Are we going to do that on the right?
If you're Brett Kavanaugh and his family, I think you have to be concerned for your safety.
Yes.
Somebody mailed the wife of one of the senators.
Cory Booker?
Yeah, Cory Booker's
Gardner.
wife.
Cory Gardner.
Cory
Cory
Gardner.
Gardner.
Cory Gardner.
That's right.
Mailed him a video of somebody being beheaded. What is that saying? What is the implication there?
Let me ask you what the difference is between what they're advocating now and Sharia law. Sharia law is saying you don't have a right to choose anything else except what the mullahs tell you. And if you step out of line, they can flog you, put you in jail, or kill you. What's the difference? That's what's being advocated on the streets by the left right now.
Only positive thing is that King and Kennedy are both dead already, so them getting shot at this point won't be as big an impact as it was last time.
Thank you, Stu, for that brilliant analysis.
Thank you.
So what's been going on that we have not been paying attention?
Well, Hot Air had a great story, and it's like I remember hearing these things about. There'd be these big bills that pass, and they're tens of billions of dollars, and they would be big debates. Remember, like talking about things like that. Hey, there's hundreds of billions of dollars going this direction. There's $100 billion going that direction. We don't ever have a conversation about that anymore. This is just a minor example, but like this is the sort of stuff that's just happening while we're talking about whether some incident happened a million years ago and whether Michael Avenatti has any credibility. The FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018. Now that sounds sexy, I know. But while we're talking about Kavanaugh and pushing for the values that Kavanaugh hopefully will be showing in the Supreme Court, the Republicans are at work growing government. They are growing government. Look at what this act does. First of all, it regulates the airline seat sizes. Is that something the federal government should be doing? It regulates cell phone calls on flights. It defines what exactly is a lactation area. Now, I'm concerned about that, I know, but
anywhere the lactator wants
Thank
to.
you. And it cannot be in a restroom, by the way. It cannot be in a restroom. Provides money for studying the design of aircraft oxygen. Provides money for studying allergic reactions on board airlines. That's, of course, important. Provides money for studying what infrastructure is needed for faster growing airports, and provides money for studying noise abatement and funding to put them in place. Now, all of that comes out to, starting out, about $22 billion a year. And by 2023, it escalates all the way to about $73 billion a year. You put all that together, we're well into the hundreds of billions of dollars. And these are bills we're not even noticing are going on. Now, sure, if you have an FAA, there's going to be some money you spend on it, but they're increasing the amounts all the time, and they're regulating minutia that private business can figure out how big the airline seats are going to be.
You guys remember when we lived in New Canaan, Connecticut, and we were friends with the titans of industry. We were friends with the president of Goldman Sachs, or former president of Goldman Sachs, the president and founder of JetBlue, the president of one of the biggest insurance companies in the world. And all these really powerful guys came to me one point and said, you know much about the FAA? And I said, no. And what they were trying to do is get the air traffic not to fly over our town, which I thought was a pretty snotty thing. But they were trying to get the air traffic rerouted. And they said, it is an American Gestapo. That people don't understand the power of the FAA. They have ultimate power. I remember, I don't remember them now, but I think we did a show on it at that time or something. The power that the FAA has is truly unlimited.
And Republicans have control of all three branches of government and are growing it. Are growing it. I mean, as important as the exact qualifications of a lactation area are, I
have to say, as the female here, I do not want to breastfeed in the airplane bathroom.
Right, but you may not want to, and that is, of course, up to you to do so.
I don't know why you couldn't breastfeed anywhere.
Well, I would be fine with that. However, there are people who get shamed for it.
The point is the federal government should, whether all of our opinions can be different on this, it doesn't matter. The federal government should not be defining the specifics of a lactation area. That is not what their role is in the world.
Well, and as far as the
breasts
money,
are very important.
They are. We all love them.
That is that's a federal zone.
As far as the money goes, really quickly, it's like we are spending all of that on all the things you listed, and we're growing government, but we got those tax cuts, so how are we going to make those add up?
So, of course, the debt is going up even more and more and more. We're over $1 trillion again.
1.2. This fiscal year just ended.
This is over.
We used to hit Obama for this.
Yeah, all the time. In fact, Obama was the first person, I believe, who ever put it over $1 trillion in a year. And since then, I think 2 or 3 years during the late Obama administration, we were able to get it back under $1 trillion, and now it's back over $1 trillion. We're talking just this year, $8,000 for every single worker in America in debt has been added. I mean, think if they tried to raise your taxes $8,000, which would only cover this year.
Every American gave $130,000. We could wipe that out. Unfortunately, at this rate, it would all be back within 3 years.
All right. Well, that's depressing. Back in a minute.
Remember how much time we spent talking about the stimulus package that was $787 billion?
Got a lot more to get into. Before we do that, I want to thank our sponsor, My Patriot Supply. So really, it's supposed to be intended for if there is some sort of national disaster, or natural disaster, I should say, hurricanes, you are flooded, you lose power, obviously all the food in your fridge spoils and you can't eat it and you're stuck because it's flooded. But also, if your wife happens to go out of town, and
no, I wouldn't say that. Would you say that?
No.
Wow. No.
You don't want to use up the emergency.
No, you wouldn't want to do that.
Because you're lazy.
I mean, it's just that I've heard that I've known
Pat and I are against that.
We are against it. But
our wives,
it happens to people.
I have heard that. And our food supply has strangely gone down.
Mice. It's mice.
No, it's probably mice.
Maybe boll weevils.
They just take the entire package.
Yeah. Take it completely out of the house.
And then sometimes you'll find just the wrappers
in the garbage.
In the garbage.
Something. That's
really? It's a clean.
I don't know much about boll weevils.
There might be hobos that are breaking into our homes.
In all seriousness, though, we see how the government responds, in Puerto Rico and during Hurricane Katrina. You can't always expect a response or help. So arm yourself.
Can I ask you something? Or should you? It's not really their again, it's just another thing where we should be taking responsibility for ourselves. That's why I love, the way they do this, because they let you take a basic step to knock this thing off your list, so you don't have to worry about whether the government's going to show up. You never have to worry about it.
Right.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You're living in Portland, and they're redirecting traffic, and you can't get to the grocery store. I mean, are you going to go to the grocery store?
No.
Conditions could get worse there that you really can't get to the grocery store. I mean, they start arming themselves with more than the batons, or even with the batons.
They bring guns. I'm just not going to.
All right. Well, anyway, you can get a 2-week food supply, emergency food supply. That's breakfast, lunches, and dinners for 2 whole weeks, $75.
Really good deal.
That is way less than taking, your family out for one dinner. So that is preparewithnews.com, preparewithnews.com. All right, Glenn, everything's getting out of control, you said.
The destructive nature. I mean, think about when I wrote Addicted Outrage. When I wrote that, when we finished it and submitted that, to now, look how much further.
Yeah, it's a lot worse.
We are.
Just in that amount of time.
Just in, 5 months, 6 months?
Yeah.
It's crazy how bad. It's growing exponentially, and we are not paying attention to actual things that are very important. I had a scientist on, a guy who has done research on these big tech companies, Google, Facebook, etc., and wanted to prove one way or another that they did affect the election in 2016, that they were actually trying to do it. Then he's done studies on how much of a difference they can make, how they're manipulating. We had him on, and Stu and I looked at each other towards the end of it, off air, and said, me, the founder of the Doom Room, that's the scariest hour I've ever done in my life. And Stu agreed.
Yeah.
There was a point where he was telling us some things of what's happening, and I was speechless. I literally did not know what to ask next. And I study this stuff. I'm up on this. This is not a surprise to me. It was breathtaking on how, here's the guy who has studied it and can prove that it's happening right now. And it is the manipulation of our minds. I said, so is this kind of, would you say it's in the category of mind control? He says, no, this is full mind control. This is a guy who voted for Hillary Clinton, who documented that Google was in the bag for Hillary Clinton and influencing the election just by the way the algorithm, what that shows on the first page, okay? And he said, look, we have given Google, and they've been brilliant, we have given Google so much trust. Look at the front page of Google. Now, what does that front page tell you?
Google search, and I'm feeling lucky, and nothing else.
Right,
Anyone
nothing else.
use I'm feeling lucky? Is that a thing that anyone's clicked?
No, I've never clicked on it. Okay, so...
Very blank. Nothing.
All right, so it's nothing. It says to you subliminally, I have no agenda.
Yeah, I'm a blank slate.
I'm a blank slate. I have zero agenda. I'm not advertising. I'm not taking any money. I don't have a side. I'm you. Blank slate, trust me. Take a look at Yahoo. What does that say to you?
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Maybe I have
they have an agenda. I'm part of the system. Okay?
Right. Yep.
So they have done everything to get us to trust them. And so when people say, Google it, it's a verb. Google it. They trust that. But he is showing in his research that they can take 10 undecided voters, and the way they manipulate their algorithms on searches, if there's 10, 5, on one side, 5 on the other, depending on how they do their searches, as they did in the 2016, undecideds will go 5 here.
All the way over to the other side.
All the way, and not know they've been manipulated. And even those who do spot manipulation, it still works. And this is the beginning of it.
And so you're saying that it's based on what they type in, the search results, all of the conservative-leaning search results are buried underneath what Google wants them to see?
So in the control room, if you guys could just do a search on something, take Google and just search, Kavanaugh. Just search Kavanaugh. Okay, not on Yahoo, but on Google. If you search Kavanaugh, you look at those first 5 on the page that come up. Now, when you find those, he said, if the first 2 are from the left, then there's one that's from the right, and then another one from the left, and then another one on the right. That makes you feel as though it's balanced, but it's the top 2 that matter. During the election in 2016, they had 2,000 people watching. They had cameras, and they were to Google whatever they wanted to Google about the politics. They had to do it, I think, twice a day. All 5 were pro-Hillary Clinton. All 5. That should not be, because your search is supposed to be unique to you. His other warning is there are 7 of these things. This is just one. There are 7 that he's watching. He said the other thing is there's no fingerprints. Because it is one time generated spontaneously for you at that time, there's no record. I asked him, is this mind control? He said, oh yeah, we're way past mind control. He's talking about a company that can wind people up, manipulate them. For instance, we're in this situation now. You want somebody to shoot somebody. I'm not saying that Google is doing this. I'm saying they can, and there will be no evidence. They can find, they know who's unhealthy. You've read recently about how they're spotting people with suicidal tendencies. Okay, did you know that? Okay, so they know who's unhealthy just based on what you're doing online. Yeah. They can take you and wind you up and make you say, I got to get that person.
All right. I have some more questions for you on that, but let's take this into overtime, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Back in a minute.
Line.com.
A lot more coming up in overtime. Want to continue the conversation about Google, but in the meantime, I'm going to suggest that maybe you use Ask Jeeves.
Yeah. Go to thecreepyline.com, watch that documentary, or my Google research.
All right. See you in overtime.